we speak regularly, Simon, about Barcelona. It appears they're about to enter the world of Spotify. Would that officially spell the end of Daniel Ek's far-flung pursuit of Arsenal? Do you remember him when he was sniffing about? Yes, you do. He was sniffing about Arsenal.
No, it doesn't necessarily spell the end of his far-flung intentions for Arsenal.
Well, Spotify is said to be close today to completing a deal with Barcelona worth 237 million quid to include naming rights on their shirts and the stadium.
Two different things.
You know Spain, you know that area particularly well as well. Catalonia, it's a kind of country apart.
It is indeed. How
will the passionate Barcelona fans feel about going to see their beloved Barcelona playing in the Spotify Nou Camp?
It's a break from tradition, isn't it? It's a break from where they've been before, but I think they're also very conversant with the subject matter around Barcelona. They've been reading the press for some time about the situation surrounding how much debt they're in, how the financial problems that the club have brought about an absolute degradation of the club's performance on the pitch. So it's for them, I suspect, after they've swallowed it, it'll be a necessary evil to serve a greater good. If it enables Barcelona to recapture the ground that they've lost, then ultimately it's a commercial deal. It's the same commercial deal as TeamViewer have done to some extent with Man United about a tech business buying some collateral advertising space. They've got naming rights over a stadium, and they've got commercial rights over their shirt sponsorship. It won't prohibit him from buying another football club because he was never going to buy Arsenal anyway.
Well,
that was nonsense.
It appears it's pretty far down the line here, but should all
two different things,
iconic imagery be up for grabs in terms of the Nou Camp?
Well,
Spotify Nou Camp.
I'm in a traditional camp of saying no, it shouldn't be. Yeah. But I'm also a commercial man. You know, I've sat here watching us in this country sell everything. You know, we tried to sell the London Stock Exchange to the Germans not so long ago. So I'm in a great believer that we try and keep our assets and the collateral and the tradition and the values of things.
Yeah, Shad Khan and Wembley.
But exactly. But that was my main issue with that was that you needed to pay a proper price for it. If we actually were going to sell one of our crown jewels, i.e. our national stadium. But moving on to the sentiment of you can't stand still. Because if you stand still, you'll end up going backwards in the end because people will go past you. So with that in mind, you have to look at the commercial landscape and say, which is the greater good here? Is the greater good to keep our integral rights and to keep the integrity of what we look like once, or to move with the times? And most football stadiums have naming rights, except Tottenham Hotspur. Ironically, we've got probably the best stadium in the world. Most football stadiums have naming rights.
Yeah.
And this is a £250 million deal, so a €300 million deal that, in to some extent, will be replacing other deals that exist there because they'll already have shirt sponsors, so they're replacing that with a bigger deal. And it's part and parcel of Barcelona regaining their commercial poise. They've repositioned the £1 billion debt. They've refactored it into a different bond and a different loan mechanism that takes them away from the prejudicial position of being economically in great trouble. They're now getting their commercial deals back in line. This is good news.
Good news for them.
For Barcelona. It's not good news for other people because Barcelona will start to regain their momentum again at some point because they've been hit by a double whammy. A change in the league rules in Spain that by God should be in this country, which is salary capping to make sure that wages can fit in with a model that makes football sustainable, and owners then don't own football clubs, and if owners fall off the cliff, then football clubs struggle, right? So that model is something that should be here in the first place. Yeah. They got hit by that, and then they got hit by the complete and utter loss of all their revenues, whilst every league in the world was able to include a projection for what they would have got from gate receipts and broadcaster revenues if COVID hadn't been there. The Spanish league was the only league that didn't do that. So they got hit by a double whammy. Not only did they lose the revenue, they weren't able to consider any budgeting for it when they were asked to take their player salaries down massively. Yeah. And then, of course, they found themselves in a situation where they were trying to refinance their debts and restructure their debts. And, of course, it all fell into the same time as the headline news that Lionel Messi was potentially going to leave Barcelona.
Sure.
So all of those things brought about this. So what it is this fellow at Spotify was never going to buy Arsenal. He wasn't going to buy Arsenal.
Why was he never going to buy? At one stage it looks as if... he was standing there in the box with Henry.
What he did was he gained and garnered attention from influential former Arsenal players who, with the greatest respect in the world, don't have the commercial wherewithal to understand what buying a football club actually involves, specifically from people that don't actually want to sell it.
So what was it, a PR stunt?
I think it was an element of opportunism about it. We spent a lot of time talking about Spotify, didn't we? And the owner of Spotify, far more time than I remember speaking about Daniel Week previously. And so he got some attention. If they could have nicked it, maybe they would have nicked it. It wasn't all his money. It was structured money. So with that in mind, it never for me was going to happen. But it gained...
You put a bid in? to Kroenke,
but you
1.8 bill.
I can put a bid in for something that I know. We can put a bid in. I mean, West Ham did it the other day. They put a bid in for someone that wasn't for sale. We can all put bids in for situations that we know we're not going to have an outcome attached to. That makes us look good, doesn't it?
Pete Sullivan's glad to hear that.
Yes.
In the current
He's
climate.
got his hands full right now, isn't he? So he doesn't need that particular added observation.
Yeah.
But I think for Barcelona, the tradition of the Catalonian way of life, which is very proud, very different from mainland Spain. They consider themselves an island in their own. In fact, they'd like to be a country in their own right. We should ask Pep what he thinks about it, because he'll probably end up back there one day. Sure. What do you think about being in a Spotify stadium, Pep?
Certainly. I mean, as you rightly say, Simon, it seems to be turning around again for Barcelona, and you said it would. Well,
hopefully what will happen is that the players will get the same treatment from Spotify in their salaries that the Spotify give to their artists. Because Spotify pay their artists very low amounts of money. So maybe it's incoming for the Barcelona players. They're going to get even more pay cuts. That'd be terrible. I'd hate that.
You enjoy Spotify?
I do, actually.
Oh, do you?
I do, actually. One of my nieces is a little singer-songwriter, so I get to watch her latest renditions via Spotify.
Oh, I see. So you're a regular listener and you have your own choices there all lined up,
I do.
Good.
I'm a big music fan.
Oh, you are indeed. I know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.